I got a wonderful letter at my P.O. box today, and I wanted to read it. I mean, yesterday, actually. And my eyes are really red. I've been battling a headache yesterday. I'm going to be going into what I think Loree McBride is up to. But let me go ahead and read this letter. Dear Gail, I wanted to drop you a note to say that I have been following you on YouTube for the last several years while pursuing a STEM PhD. Long story short, I encountered a number of family hardships along the way, and they made pursuing a rigorous degree all the more grueling. Watching your videos and seeing your unflagging ability to overcome adversity truly helped give me the strength to see my studies to their conclusion. Excuse the way I look, but Loree is dropping bombs or something. I don't know what she's doing, or putting allergens in the air, and this eye is red and swollen. So we really need to deal with her. Okay. Since completing my PhD, I've accepted my dream job of university professor, enabling me to teach others and help them achieve their aspirations. I know that in the past you were also teacher, and I was wondering if you would make a video talking about your experience with that to help guide me. Maybe you have suggestions or pointers? I know you had your share of troubles with some students too. For instance, I think I read somewhere that at one point you had a student who deliberately flunked a spelling bee. Yes, that is correct. Actually, a whole bunch of students. I'm not a Patreon supporter, so I will only see the video if you post it on your main YouTube channel. Feel free to read this letter on air for context if you want. Anyway, I'll conclude by thanking you for being the amazing woman you are. You gotta excuse me, but oh my goodness, whatever Loree is doing, she's making me sick. There are so many of us who love and care about you and consider you an inspiration. With love, blessings, and light, your friend, Professor SLLBCH. P.S. I really hope this makes it to you. Look, see how red she's making my eye? Can you see it? I've had a horrible headache. This is Loree McBride. She's also causing my heart to jump. Like I'll lay in bed and her brain control will give my heart flip-flops. This is brain control. I mean, not brain control, allergy or something she's putting in the air. Oh, there are so many of us who love and care about you and consider you an inspiration. Okay. P.S. I really hope this makes it to you since I'm not including a return address. Once I know you've gotten the letter and money, I'll try to send more in the future. Yes, he sent me this. That was very nice. Thank you so much. That job that I had where I had students, that was in 2003. That's the last time I was a teacher. And it was at a Christian school. And at that point in my life, I wanted to marry. Vladimir Putin was the #1 man in my life. I'd given up on Brent Spiner because of 9/11. Because the Jesuits did 9/11 to prevent Brent from marrying me, so I figured it was impossible, so I wanted a president in my life. So at that point in my life, I had just started writing conspiracy law, and I only took the teaching job mainly because I thought it would help me to go marry Vladimir Putin. I thought I could go as a missionary to Russia or Ukraine and be with Vladimir. So I will admit teaching is not my first passion, even though I have a degree in education. When I was a young lady, my passion was to be a missionary and to marry a great man of God. So I guess the way you might say, well, how can I learn from? I ended up losing that job. It was a no-win situation because half the students were Jesuits. Once I started working there, a lot of the people started dying on the staff at that church. And I concluded that if I joined any church, the Jesuits would start killing off people unless the church would cooperate with the Jesuits. And they eventually got rid of me. The principal was getting calls from all the parents, and they were all complaining. about me as a teacher and saying I couldn't control my classroom. And to be honest with you, um, I was a teacher in 1983, and I taught chemistry, biology, math, science, and Bible. And that job I left to go marry my husband, who ended up being a Jesuit. But it was a tough job. Um, I think if you want to learn about perseverance, and I'm not sure my teaching experience would be the best way to show you how I've persevered against all odds to like become the U.S. president. I ended up losing that job. The Jesuits made sure that I would not have any way to be with Vladimir Putin at the time. So I ended up losing the job. It was a no-win situation. Once I got hired there, the Jesuits literally started killing off the chief church members. They have the technology to do that. They were getting mysterious heart attacks. They were getting cancer. And then all the parents were calling and complaining about me as a teacher. They had Jesuit students in my classroom deliberately flunked spelling bees. I was an English teacher. It was, if I even hinted about my real life, which was the fact that I had written a novel, Silver Skies, which I had, and if I even hinted that I thought it was any good, or that one student, I actually read a passage from Silver Skies, which was a scene at the end where, to try to illustrate how writing and English were tied together, where Dorben Habakkuk had to take off all his clothes and his partner had to take off all her clothes to swim for their life because the clothes was weighing them down. The principal called me to his office and said, "We can't have a teacher who's teaching nudity or endorsing nudity in the classroom." Now, after a while, I concluded I had evolved so much as a believer, I could no longer work for this strict Baptist group. So, oh, so you might say, well, how could I be inspired as a teacher? If teaching is your passion, what you can learn from my life, okay, because I will admit that teaching is not my main passion. So when I lost the job, I figured that God just closed the door and he'd open a window somewhere else. And at that point in my life, though, I needed money. I was living with my mother, which I didn't like. And basically, she was the one who told me to go be a teacher. She said, "You got a degree in education. If you need to get a job equivalent to your degree." But what she doesn't understand is that I was actually in a Bachelor of Science nursing program, and I got out of it to just get a bachelor's degree so that I could go off to Bible college, which I did. I did follow my dream, and my family disowned me then. So I guess what I can say is when God puts a dream in your heart, when he puts a dream in your heart, and if you've accepted Jesus as your Savior, and I will have a link underneath this video for how to do that, you need to follow that dream. Because usually if you have a dream in your heart, it's from God. So what I did, oh, she's making me cough. When I lost my job, I got back into writing law, which is one of my passions. Oh, she's terrible. I think she's dropping allergy bombs over my head. She knows what I'm allergic to. And I started writing law, and knowing that I had a president husband, that would seem crazy to people back then. But back then, I was more concerned about following the dream in my heart. So you might say, what was the dream in your heart? Well, as a result of my experience dealing with Jesuits at that school and in my life, and because they did 9/11, yes, the Jesuits did 9/11. Osama bin Laden was just one of their puppets. They even admit it at one of their websites. And I'll have a link to that underneath to my webpage that shows you a screenshot of Jesuit websites where they admitted they did 9/11. When God puts a dream in your heart, you need to honor it. That's what you can learn from my life. If I had a dream in my heart of a world with peace, where peace, love, and tolerance would prosper. And I wrote Conspiracy Law to help create that world. Actually, once I learned that the Jesuits were in my life and how powerful they were, that the powerful Roman Catholic Church was financially backing them and militarily backing them, I decided I thought maybe if I became an attorney that I could stop them or damage them. The Jesuits blocked that. But I did manage this. I did manage to study law when I studied real estate and health insurance and annuities. Oh, it's really terrible. I got like a headache. And I learned enough law from that to learn how the legal mind works. My eyes are all red. So I wrote Conspiracy Law. I will have a link to all my conspiracy law documents also underneath this video. I didn't make a penny from it, but I did know that all of my law was being implemented in Russia. Vladimir Putin came up with a way so that anything I wrote on my computer, he was able to use satellite technology to upload it to Russia. And I knew that he was doing that. I didn't even have the internet, and he was able to do that. So I wrote the law knowing Vladimir was getting my law through my computer. My stepdad gave me a computer in 2003. So when I lost my teaching job, I started writing law. I wasn't planning on writing the big body of law that I had. It started off where Vladimir, they stole his sperm and impregnated a woman and tried to make him look like he willingly and knowingly had sex with her to have the baby. So my first legal document was international reproductive laws. It was called Russian reproductive laws at the beginning because I was planning on limiting the law to Russia. And I thought, this isn't right, Vladimir. He told me about it brain to brain. I said, this isn't right. That they can steal your sperm, impregnate a woman with stolen semen, and make it look like you had sexual relations with her to try to discredit you so that you can't be the president. So I wrote law that if anybody stole a man's sperm and used it to impregnate a woman using any form of artificial insemination, that would be death penalty. And that's what got me started on. And then Vladimir would tell me about all this other stuff that was happening in the world, where the Jesuits were using advanced technology, which was not being reported on in the news. And I said, we need to write law to make that illegal, to make it a crime. And before you knew it, I ended up writing a body of law that's the size of an encyclopedia. So what inspiration can you get from my life? The average person in my shoes would never have wasted their time writing law. Their first instinct would have been, I got to pay my bills. I'm not going to waste my time off in dreamland writing a big body of law that nobody's probably reading. So, but yet I knew Vladimir was in my life. And I would not allow, it's kind of complicated, but I knew it because I have genius emotional IQ. I could tell from watching the news, like when he had his pioneer visit in 2001, and I could tell that he was in my life. So I wrote this law, and I said, I don't care if the world thinks I'm crazy. I believe that some way, someday, I'm going to be able to implement this law and bring to the world the peace, the honoring of true love, and the freedom from terrorism and from brain control and all these things to the world. That's why I wrote it. I wouldn't give up my dream. I'm like the Galileo of our times. So that's what you can learn. And the law required quite a great mind. It required a good legal mind. So I had to think of all the angles that they would bring up in court. I needed to come up with I admired the US Constitution, but I needed to come up with a new legal system that would deal with the technology the Jesuits were using to harm us. And as a result, I believe I created the greatest body of law that has ever been written in the entire history of the world. You say, boy, that's quite a statement. I believe it's correct. Jesus has actually shown up and appeared to us. And when I finally published my law at my website, Jesus clapped. The deity himself clapped. Now, like I said, the law is not perfect, as I told my Patreon supporters on my daily walk videos. But I do believe that the law that I've written is the greatest body of law that's ever been written in the history of mankind to this time. In fact, let me tell you how great I think it is. And this is because I had the courage to follow my dreams and to use the brains that the Lord gave me, even though I wasn't paid a cent. So I've been writing that law since 2003. Right? Actually, I think it started in 2004. It's now 2021. The good news is I became the president of the United States for real. I mean, I've kind of like been the president since 2016, but I gave the job back to Donald Trump because, well, we thought he was dead. And even though I won the election in his place, once we knew he was back, we just gave him back his job, which was kind of a mistake because Melania was actually the president for most of Trump's term. But Biden is 100% Loree cuck, so it's like an emergency. Anyways, so yeah, I wrote the law to bring to the world the peace that I wanted the world to have and the freedom from tyranny. Okay. It's the size of an encyclopedia. It would be like writing an encyclopedia, not getting paid a cent for it. Even when there were days when I didn't know where my next meal would be coming from, but just staying true to the dream in my heart. Believing that some way, somehow, this law would be enforced. Now that I'm the president, I do believe that conspiracy law is finally being enforced. And I do believe that the law that I've written is going to be very similar to the law that Jesus Christ himself is going to use in his millennial reign, which might be why Jesus clapped when I published it. Okay, now, let me tell you, this is kind of like a different subject, but I think it's appropriate that I got a letter from a scientist. He's obviously a scientist. I believe we have an emergency, folks. I've been trying to figure out what Loree McBride and Satan are up to. As many of you are aware, Loree McBride has a cum star out there in deep space. I believe that is a ticking time bomb. I believe, Lord, you help me as I make this video. I do believe that the cum star has already murdered millions. It destroyed, as you all know, the Zach Knight Jesuit space fleet and all the people that were on Church of Gail. The only people who survived were the top men on my ex-marriage list. That would be like Matthew McConaughey, Hugh Jackman, Gerard Butler, Brent Spiner, Terrence Jenkins, Keanu Reeves, Edward, and some others who were on Earth and not on the space fleet at the time, which, interestingly, were all the people that I had interacted with on Church of Gail. Zach Knight, Rule 13, they all survived, but it was a close call. And if my Gail shield was not protecting them, they would have died too. Because look, see what happened is Loree, you can go back and view the video, but the cum star started attacking the Jesuit Zach Knight space fleet. And my men decided to send a anti-seaman missile to the cum star because it was made of semen. And an anti-semen missile will literally destroy anything made of semen. It was leftover technology from Church of Gail, spaceship number 2. The problem was Loree anticipated this. She had Satan working with her, and he's pretty smart. And she was able to cause that anti-semen missile to ricochet and come back to the Jesuit space fleet, Zach Knight's space fleet, which is all made out of semen, and they all got demolished. They all died. Millions. Yeah, and I'll have a link to that underneath this video. So I've got 3 videos: conspiracy law, what happened with the cum star, and goodness, the brain control is really bad. Really, really bad. The other day I was working on financial records, and it was very hard to concentrate, and I kept making mistakes. She's got very strong brain control out there right now. You know, I had to write this down. So, Lord, help me to overcome this brain control. Yeah, so the conspiracy law, I got to remember the video. Conspiracy law, oh my goodness. What happened with the cum star? There was one other video that I'm going to have to re-listen to this video. The brain control. Okay, now this is pretty important. I believe Loree McBride plans to, the cum star is this, like the size of the moon. Why did she create something that big? Think about this. For her own space fleet, she's made a cum star. It looks like a planet. Why did Loree McBride and Satan create something that big? I think they're planning on destroying Earth with it. Let me tell you why. Okay, Loree McBride has antichrist powers, which means we cannot kill her. The antichrist cannot be killed until the antichrist fulfills their role in the Bible, which is, until the final battle. You Bible prophecy people out there, you know what that is. That'll be at the end of the 7-year tribulation. You might say, well, how do we win against her if she cannot be killed? There's only one way to take the Antichrist out. You have to totally destroy his following. Okay? Satan knows that. Let me tell you, let's go back a little bit to 2016. In 2016, my Gail shield had become so powerful, it was killing off the Jesuits. At that time, Zach Knight was the Antichrist and the leader of the Jesuits. They were dropping like flies. So Zach Knight launched a super nukkake to Earth to try to destroy my Gail shield. But my Gail shield was so powerful, when the super nukkake hit my Gail shield, it ricocheted off the Gail shield, went back to the Jesuit fleet, demolished it, and they all died and went in semen bubbles, including Zach Knight himself. Zach Knight wanted to rescue 13. He tried to resuscitate her because she died from the ricochet bomb. And it's interesting that we got kind of a repeat of the same thing. We died, all of us died from a ricochet bomb. It's like Satan is learning stuff from history. So, yeah, Zach Knight risked everything to try to save 13. And he ended up getting encased in a semen bubble as a result of trying to save 13. And that's how I was in deep space, and the only way he could get out would be if a Jesuit could go in there and get him out of there. When I found out what he did, though, I contacted him brain to brain and lauded him for his heroics and honoring true love and trying to save 13. And I let him, but he got tricked by Angelina. He was stuck in that semen bubble. Angelina Ballerina came to him and lied to him and said that 13 was dead. She was not, because my men got her on Church of Gail, though Angelina tried to kill her. And she told Zach that she loved him, but that she needed his antichrist powers to be able to come back to rescue him, to get him out of the semen bubble. The reason I'm bringing up this history is because I'm going to tell you what I think Satan is up to. I have the highest emotional IQ in the world. It's even higher than Satan's right now. Satan, when he saw that all the Jesuits were being killed off by my Gail shield, realized that if every single Jesuit in the world died and only Zach Knight was left, that Zach Knight would lose his antichrist powers. Yes, I do believe that you cannot have an antichrist without a following. If my Gail Shield had continued as it had, and all the Jesuits got killed off except Zach Knight, and he was the only one left alive, I think he would have lost his antichrist powers. You might say, well, how does that work? It would be because Jesus would say, Satan, how can you have an antichrist without a following? Satan, knowing that, got desperate. He thought, I've got a problem. He said, my antichrist. You say, well, but then he could use Zach Knight to make cloning labs. The problem was that once Zach Knight thought 13 was dead, so you might say, he actually didn't care about being Antichrist anymore. So I was able to lead him to Jesus. But so you're thinking, I think Satan wanted to replace Zach Knight with somebody who was more cruel and willing to do the job that Satan needed. You see, you might say, well, even if your Gail Shield killed off all the Jesuits, there's the cloning labs. Well, it wouldn't matter. My Gail Shield was so powerful, even if they made clones, they would have all died off at birth. So it wouldn't have mattered. Satan could see that was coming. And he realized that if my Gail Shield continued to become powerful and all the Jesuits died off, he'd lose his Antichrist too. So basically, he needed an Antichrist that was replaceable. So he went to plan B. He actually, I think this was Satan's plan. When Zach Knight was encased in that semen bubble in back deep space, and Angelina lied to him and said, I'm going to come back and take you out, I don't think she planned to come back and take him out. When Zach Knight gave his Antichrist powers to Angelina, I think she planned on keeping them. Because what she did, and she planned on keeping Zach permanently in that semen bubble. And that was Satan's plan too. As long as Zach Knight remained alive, then Satan was still entitled to use his Antichrist powers. And because he couldn't be killed, Satan's plan was to leave Zach Knight out there in that semen bubble permanently and to use Angelina or another Jesuit as his Antichrist proxy. And that's why Angelina had Antichrist power. Well, and the other thing is, once Satan gave Zach Knight Antichrist powers, the only way he could transfer the powers would be if Zach Knight himself did that. And Angelina tricked Zach Knight into doing that. So Zach Knight gave his Antichrist powers to Angelina. And basically, Zach Knight is still the Antichrist, folks. You might say, what? Then why in the world did he lose his Antichrist powers? I don't know. It's kind of complicated. Let me see if help me to explain this, Jesus. He's what I would call a backup Antichrist, okay? We've got two types of Antichrist in the world right now. We've got the real Antichrist, who right now is Loree McBride. Then we have the backup Antichrist. Now, the way it works is once Zach Knight transferred his Antichrist powers to Angelina Ballerina, and he's the only one who could do that. That was a big mistake, but it's too late. It's already happened, okay? And at that time, he was on Satan's side, and he didn't know any better. But once he gave his Antichrist powers to Angelina, he didn't realize it, but Satan never planned on giving Zach his Antichrist powers back. He needed a more ruthless leader, somebody that would, he knew that Zach Knight loved 13 genuinely, and he said, I can't have a ruler who's got true love in his life. This just isn't going to work for me. So I need somebody who doesn't have true love and who won't honor true love, and he found that person in Angelina. So Satan's goal was to use another Jesuit as the Antichrist and to just keep Zach Knight in that semen bubble permanently so that he wouldn't lose his ability to have an Antichrist. Satan can only have one Antichrist, okay? So his plan was to leave Zach Knight in that semen bubble permanently and use Angelina or another Jesuit as his acting Antichrist. So that explains why she got Antichrist powers, okay? Because Zach Knight gave them to her. And then when Zach Knight accepted Jesus, he eventually lost his Antichrist powers. But let me tell you this. I could still shoot lightning bolts on Zach Knight right now if I wanted to. And if Jesus didn't protect him, I could kill him. But I won't do that because I'm a good person. I have a good heart. And I have honor. And he got right. And he's honoring true love now, and I won't do that. Now, this is what's interesting. I have the power to shoot lightning bolts on all the backup antichrists. The way Satan's got it, and my lightning bolts will take them out. But the way Satan has things set up, let's say we somehow managed to get Loree McBride caged, like in a semen bubble. Satan was very clever that he chose a clone to be his Antichrist, because what he's been doing, he can only have one Antichrist at a time. And if we ever try to cage Loree McBride, she will deliberately kill herself and let one of her clones take her place. So basically, every Loree McBride clone out there is an Antichrist, or could have. This is kind of complicated. So only one Loree McBride clone at a time can have Antichrist powers, but a Satan can kill off the clone that has it. Let's say we cage Loree McBride. We cryogenically freeze her or something, and we send her out to deep space. Satan will then just kill off that Antichrist and replace her with another one. You might say, how do we win? Because she's got clones. You might say, how do we win if every bad Jesuit out there is a backup Antichrist? Okay, well, I can shoot lightning bolts and kill off as many backup Antichrists as I want, and that would help. There's only one problem. My lightning bolts do not affect the Jesuits living on the Cum Star. She's put up shields on that Cum Star so that they're protected from my lightning bolts. We have got to take out that Cum Star force. That is a ticking time bomb out there. I believe that while we're sitting here arguing about politics, trying to decide what we're going to do about the gun laws, about the police, and all these other distractions that Satan and Loree McBride have created, Satan and Loree McBride are out there on that Cum Star with plans to blow up the planet Earth. Yes. So while we're here down on Earth arguing about politics, they're gonna just blow up the whole planet. You say, you think so? Yes, that's what I think they're up to. You got to think that Cum Star is the size of the moon. It's the size of a planet. Why do they have to make something like that? Unless they're planning on replacing Earth with the Cum Star. They plan to blow up planet Earth. Yes, she's going to launch something to Earth. I think it's in the works right now. And when it hits Earth, it's going to blow. I think planet Earth is going to explode. It's going to go boom. And we're all going to die. You might say, that's horrible. Well, look we didn't think one thing I've learned about Loree McBride, she's a long-term planner. And when she finally decides to attack, she makes sure she has all her bases covered. And she creates distractions so that you get caught up with all these side issues. You guys, we're in a war with Loree McBride. That cum-star is a ticking time bomb. You might say, well, what about all her followers on Earth? Well, what she's going to do is she's going to clear out the planet and instruct all of her followers to go on the cum-star. Then she's going to go out into deep space, launch some sort of missile from deep space, which is going to blow up planet Earth. She plans on replacing Earth with the cum-star. That's going to be the new, that's what Satan's up to. He plans on making that cum-star the new Earth. Scientists out there, quit worrying about politics. You might say, but you're the president. Yes. And as president, my #1 priority should be to destroy that cum-star. She's going to use the cum-star to blow up the entire planet. It's going to explode into smithereens. We're all going to die. So we're sitting here arguing about politics. Oh, the Black Lives Matter movement. We got to get this person in power. We got to have this person for governor. Hey, folks, if the entire planet blows up, none of that's going to matter. Our #1 priority needs to be military. We got to take that cum-star out. It's a ticking time bomb out there, folks. All this politics doesn't matter. All I can say is thank God I'm your president. Because if I wasn't your president, you wouldn't have a space fleet, which we desperately need to defend ourselves. We wouldn't have Church of Gail. We wouldn't have Church of Gail #3. Think about this. You say, you sure about this? Yes, think about this. You say, why would they do that? With my high emotional IQ, I figured this out. Okay, Satan knows the only way he can be defeated is if we can kill off every single Jesuit. Then his Antichrist will lose. What's going to happen is if every single backup Antichrist is destroyed, that would be all the evil Jesuits, and they're all in hell. Then Jesus is going to say to Satan, Satan, you can't have an Antichrist without a following. So now I take away your ability to have an Antichrist. Your Antichrist is going to hell. So if Loree McBride loses all of her following, if they all die, because we come up with a way to kill them, and we need to do this, folks, then Loree McBride will lose her Antichrist powers, and we could kill her, and she will go to hell. And then what will happen is we will have a type of the millennial reign here on earth until the rapture happens. And Satan will not be able to Satan can't have an Antichrist without a following. So if my conspiracy law is enforced, every single Loree McBride Jesuit gets the death penalty. The only way we're going to win is every single Loree McBride Jesuit needs to die in the universe. Right now, I can use my lightning bolt powers they all have backup Antichrist powers, which is why my lightning bolt only works on the Antichrist. And it's funny that they're working on all the Loree McBride Jesuits. I can shoot my lightning bolts on them and take them out, except the ones that are on Loree's space fleet or on her cum-star. And that's just the reason we need to come up with a way to take out that cum-star. And while they've created distractions, getting us all worried about all the police brutality, who's right, the police or the black people, blah, 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 blah. They're out there scheming to blow up the entire planet, folks. While we're arguing about dumb politics, she's planning on blowing up the entire planet. Our #1 priority right now is to find a way to take out that cum-star. It's either we take it out or it's going to blow up Earth. I mean, blow it up. He said, I can't believe it. Loree McBride would be audacious. She killed millions of us just 2 months ago. That should tell you something. She's going to blow us up, folks. The entire planet. Why would Satan knows that if my conspiracy law is enforced, Loree McBride's going to lose her following and he's going to lose his antichrist. To prevent that, he created the Come Star. Yes, Satan helped her build it to ensure that he always had backup antichrists. Satan tricked Zach Knight into giving his antichrist powers to Angelina. We took Angelina out because only Zach Knight could do it. Because, see, what happened was when we knocked out Angelina's spacecraft, this was the January 2017 battle, and all the Jesuits saw Zach Knight's glowing penis, they followed Zach Knight, and he got his antichrist powers back. The way it works is Zach Knight is still the antichrist. Like I said, I could lightning bolt him and kill him if I wanted to. But I won't, because I'm a good woman. And he's honorable right now, and I won't do it. The point is, and at that time, Satan had not organized a leader around which he could have a following. But once he picked Loree McBride to take Angelina's place, and then Zach Knight lost his antichrist powers, and Loree McBride got them because she got a following. You see, she found some evil Jesuits on earth for her following. But for a little while in January, Zach Knight was the one with the following, and all the Jesuits were following him. That is until Satan got Loree McBride. So it works around who can get the evil Jesuits to have. First of all, Satan needs to have evil Jesuits, and then he can get it. He already managed to transfer Zach Knight's antichrist powers to Angelina, and basically, and that's why Loree McBride honors Angelina's pink. Think about it. The Come Star is pink. That was Angelina's trademark color. So it works like this. Satan knows he's going to lose his ability to have an antichrist if he loses his evil Jesuits. The antichrist was the evil Jesuit leader. So we have to kill off all. We are not going to win this war except militarily, not politically. Politics is a waste of time. Militarily, we have to kill off every single Loree McBride Jesuit or every evil Jesuit. If my conspiracy law is enforced, it will happen. And we have to get rid of the Come Star and all of Loree's space fleet, because she's got shields around the Come Star and the space fleet, which prevents us from killing off all the evil Jesuits. So until we kill off all the evil Jesuits, we're going to be dealing with a person who has antichrist powers and who cannot be killed, and who could create a monstrosity like the Come Star, working with Satan, that could end up blowing up our entire planet. Yeah, I think that's what they're up to. They're getting us all distracted right now. Satan's good at this. Arguing about, worrying about all this politics. Well, they plan on blowing up the entire planet. Yeah, the plan is they're getting us distracted while they're working on a bomb right now, or a ray. I don't know what they're going to use. It could be a ray that they're going to launch to Earth, and the planet's going to explode into 1 billion pieces, totally incinerate, and we're all going to die. You say your Gail shield can protect against that. They're planning on making something so powerful that even my Gail shield won't be able to withstand it. That is what they're up to. That's what they're working on the Come Star. We really need to make a top priority to take out that Come Star. You got to find a way. It's if we don't, she's planning on blowing up the planet, folks. She's getting us all distracted right now with politics. She says, oh, so Gail's the president. Yeah, well, I'm going to punish you all for that, blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't matter that I can't use my cucks in politics to do my bidding because I plan on blowing up the entire planet. And how in the world can Gail be president if she doesn't have her following? That's what she's up to, folks. I'm not joking with you guys. You guys need to find a way to get rid of that cum star. You scientists out there, that needs to be #1 priority. She's going to blow us up, the entire planet. You might say, but we got shields. She's going to find a way to overcome our shields. Now, once we figure out a way to destroy her cum star and destroy her space fleet, and if we kill off every single bad Jesuit, then we're able to execute Loree McBride. And she loses her antichrist powers, and Satan will not be able to use an antichrist. As long as my conspiracy law is enforced, which means we set up scanners worldwide to take out every Loree McBride Jesuit that dares show their face. We also need to attack any countries that are Loree McBride countries so that they can't hide out there. And we need to also check into underwater cities. In other words, we need to destroy every single Loree McBride Jesuit to win this war and to protect our planet. That's what we need to do. We will never get rid of this Antichrist until we destroy their following. And we cannot destroy their following till we destroy all the areas where they can protect themselves, where they have shield technology to protect themselves against us. So we need to come up with a way to destroy the cum star, destroy all of Loree McBride's underwater cities or underground cities, or any place where she's protected against our attacks. And while we're arguing about politics, she is scheming a way to blow up the entire planet, okay? I think we've got an emergency on our hands. We must never forget this battle will not be won in politics. It's going to be won militarily. We are at war with Loree McBride. She's trying to get us distracted. We can't let her. And yes, I need to be your president because I'm the only president that can, my conspiracy law needs to be enforced. That dream law that I started writing in 2004, if it's enforced, we can destroy every single Loree McBride Jesuit in the universe. And we need to go after any country on earth that is on her side. Because she plans to replace planet Earth with the cum star. Yep, that's what she plans on doing. You say, but you can't do that. With Satan on her side, she thinks she can. She thinks she can come up with a bomb or ray so powerful she can blow up the entire planet. You may say that's impossible. With Satan on her side, I wouldn't put it past her. We need to take out that cum star, folks. Amen.